the
you.
volume. Yeah. Got
Okay.
it.
All right. And I will lead us in. Oh, and I need to get this sheet. Okay. Doing well, thank you.
Commentating. I'm normally just doing commentating on my own plays. So
Right.
it's fun to do it for other people's plays. And who have we got in the feature match here?
So we have, get them locked in. We have Urchin, Collie
Urchin.
playing some Urza Pile. And we have Justin Armstrong.
With some hardened scales, it looks like.
Yeah, he's been on a Simic version of Hardened Scales. Not sure if that's what we're on tonight.
Simic. Maybe playing Hadana's Climb?
He was actually playing Emery the last
Oh.
time we took a peek.
Emery
So
sounds good too, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe Hadana's Climb's just too slow for modern. But yeah, I've been following Urchin on Twitter and when she's been casting for y'all. And she's got a pretty sweet brew with no Emery in her build. If it's the same one, which I believe it probably is. And she's playing Ice Fang Codal instead. And kind of just like a mid-range. I think the other spicy card is Archmage's Charm.
right. Yeah, she has been talking about Archmage's Charm as kind of this like very underrated card in the modern format, and it's true. A lot of people scoffed at that card when it was first revealed, and it hasn't really seen like a ton of consistent play since
Yeah.
it came out.
Yeah, I mean there were some like mono blue Delver decks that were trying it out for a minute and then it just kind of fell off like triple blue, it's just too hard. But I mean people play Cryptic Command like and people play Cryptic Command specifically in the Urza decks, the Urza Oko decks, the only mid-range decks in modern as I like to call them. You just can't play mid-range anymore and I think it's a problem. I'm surprised they didn't ban anything today from modern. Yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah, I think before too long we will probably see Oko go, but
yeah, Oko, Mox Opal, I was expecting Urza potentially as well. I just think they create a metagame that is just completely devoid of any kind of other mid-range strategy because you just can't beat those cards.
right.
Like Jund is just not a deck. Like you
Which
just
is really
can't
sad
play
because it
Jund.
was it was there for a while,
Yeah.
like it was put, and it like it's sitting there kind of waiting for its turn again,
For sure, for sure. When Oko came out, a buddy of mine who plays a lot of Jund, just immediately adopted Arkham's Astrolabe and Oko into his Jund deck.
Playing
And
the
like,
old wet Jund.
yeah, that was like the only way he could do it at that point. It's just Jund was bad. Jund continues to be bad, which I don't think is a healthy format of modern.
No, not at
Um,
all.
so I'm not a huge fan of the no bannings today, but obviously still a lot of fun interactions to be had. We've got a Codal coming down here, drawing a card. Three snow permanents in play, so it's got Death Touch. It's going to block the Ravager. So far, both players kind of doing what they want to be doing.
Yeah, the early death touch on the Codal, it was funny because when we first looked at this card, a lot of us were like, oh, it's Baleful Strix, but it's just not as good
Yeah.
because the death touch is going to be really hard to turn on and it'll probably be too late a lot of the time. And in practice, it has not played out that way.
No,
So
it's
many legacy decks even adopting this card over Baleful Strix, which is
yeah,
crazy to
it's
me.
Strix with Flash.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's functioned mostly the same way.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, drawing the card is the important part, and the Death Touch isn't as important depending on the matchup. Especially like at the Players Championship for Star City this past weekend. Um, Most of the time, they weren't trying to trade with the Codal, at least not in the early game. It was more just like setting up for later, and maybe it has Death Touch on turn 4 or whatever, but it didn't matter. It was just like a flash cycle threat that they could hold up counter magic with, and Yeah, just really good. There's Urza turning all the artifacts into mock sapphires. Just Tolarian Academy plus Tarmogoyf plus card advantage engine. What more do you want out of a Magic card? Uh, that card is, yeah. I'm surprised it survived this long. Honestly,
Yeah.
it just does literally everything.
Yeah, putting out a little baby 3/3 for now.
Yeah, just a 3/3.
Um,
No big deal.
Justin does have a decently threatening board here. He does have hardened scales currently in.
Hardened Scales is going.
Urchin is able to blow up the EE though.
Right, can take down that worker and the Hardened Scales
It
at a
would get
moment's
rid
notice.
of her own Astrolabe, which is a cost. It would make the construct a 1/1 for the
Yeah.
time being. So um, definitely going to have to think here before blowing it up. But depending on what Justin's able to leverage with his stirrings, it might be worth it to just keep Justin off of kind of the explosiveness that's available in this Hardened Scales deck.
Yeah, if he finds Walking Ballista, it could be pretty good. If he finds an Inkmoth Nexus at some point, that could potentially win the game. Obviously, Arcbound Ravager in tandem with Hardened Scales and an Inkmoth Nexus. If you haven't been playing Modern very long, it's a very potent threat. Ends the game basically immediately when all three of those permanents are on the board. For the Hardened Scales player, that is if you don't have interaction for the Inkmoth, which, I mean, it's a flyer. It's tough to interact with. There's a Ballista. Nice. So Ballista's going to help out a lot. Potentially take down the Urza at some point. Could be right now with the Ravager. So it looks like Ballista's still on the stack, and the explosives was popped.
So this is significant. The Ravager is going to be monstrous
Huge.
here,
Yeah.
and could create a very, very large ballista if Justin does wish to transfer the counters.
Yeah. Could kill the Urza right now, which is probably correct after attacks here.
Yeah, I think so. I think correct to get in first, see if you can maybe bait Urchin into a block, and then
Yeah,
clean up the
probably
rest of
probably a
the.
jump block with the construct here, I would imagine. It's a 1/1. It's not getting much better.
The
At
thing
least
is,
not.
Urchin's looking at some cryptic commands in hand, so
Ah,
if you do transfer the counters, he'll Justin will be able to ping with the ballista if cryptic goes for bounce mode, obviously, to get in some damage. But you're still kind of left with not a lot going on after that.
right. Looks like Justin only has one card left in hand as well, though. And with Archmage's Charm, I believe you can take a 1 mana or less permanent, or is it 1 mana?
I think it's one or less, and it's a creature. But let's take a look at.
So if Justin goes all in on the Ballista, Urchin can attempt to take it. Obviously, he'll use the rest of the counters to deal damage to her, but I mean, just removing the Walking Ballista is a pretty big.
Oh man, it is. It's just straight up non-land permanent. I thought it was creature.
Oh yeah, it
It's
just takes whatever it wants.
I'm sure there's like more applications to this card than meets the eye. Like non-land permanent is a lot of things. Not that many come to mind, but I imagine
You could
there's
take
quite a
opposing
bit.
Mox Opals.
Yes.
You could take opposing constructs that Urza has made. Seems pretty good. Um, Engineered explosives, ether vials. Someone stole my ether vial with an Archmage's Charm one time. I didn't like it too much. Felt pretty bad.
That's brutal.
I think they vialed in a Snapcaster with it too. I was like, that's really rude.
It's just
What's up, Vial Flicker Wisp and Nuglo? I am not super local. I mean, I guess if you count like West Coast as local.
yeah.
Oh no, definitely not the Pacific Northwest. I'm just in town for the week. A couple friends' birthdays are this week, and there's also this big Magic Fest GP thing happening this weekend. So I figured might as well stick around for that. And obviously, Modern Mondays here at
Of
Guardian Games.
course, of course. Who could miss it?
Honestly, I was pretty excited to
Yeah,
come by for this.
yeah.
I was
We had a
definitely,
good time the last time
yeah,
around. It's
definitely,
always good
definitely.
to have you back. It would have been fun if Modern had gotten a shake up
Yeah,
right before we
I do
kicked
think they
off.
should have, but I don't know. I think they're just gonna focus on Pioneer and Standard right now, I guess.
I also think it's good to be aware if you're the type of player that's interested in playing some side events, getting your modern going for the GP this weekend. Good to kind of see what the locals are working with around
Yeah,
here. You're
definitely.
coming from out of town.
That's why I'm here actually. This whole casting thing is just a it's just a farce to be able to see what's going on.
It's
I'm gonna
just
walk
doing some
around the room.
scouting.
Yeah, yeah.
We do not do a full meta breakdown at Guardian Games, but you can
But if you
contact
walk
Kevin
around
on
the room,
Twitter.
I'll give you all the lowdown.
Yeah.
We've got 3 shadow players that I saw
Count some
walk
Amulet
in.
Titans.
I haven't actually seen what they're playing, but you can just tell by looking at them, you know.
Couple Tron players.
Definitely, I see a Tron player right now over there.
Yeah.
You can just, there's a look in their eye.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like Justin ran out of gas, as was expected after the Archmage's Charm, and Urchin with all the Mock Sapphires and all the card advantage and all the cryptic commands.
Yeah, and we're just
This is going through the motions at this point, yeah.
yeah, locking Justin out here. Mystic Sanctuary available to put a cryptic back on top.
If you're going to Portland, you have to stay for Monday. It's true. I mean, you got to come check out the metagame here at Guardian Games.
Yeah.
And, say hi to Ian and whoever else is casting that night.
Yeah.
Maybe
Sometimes,
me.
sometimes you, sometimes Travis, sometimes Urchin. We got the rotating cast of people.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to see a
So,
full game without Oko, but
yeah.
he finds a way.
It's modern, so there's Oko. Infect is playing Oko in the main deck now?
Yeah.
It's not even a sideboard card anymore. It's just
Yeah.
in the main deck.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. That's what's
So,
happening
so
here.
if you like Oko, enjoy it while it lasts. And if you don't like Oko, just hunker down. Probably
it's,
won't be
it's
that
not gonna
long.
last too much longer.
Yeah. So just you can still it's it's maybe not as bad as Hogak. I don't think it's as bad as Hogak.
No, it's not. It's not winning the game on turn 3.
Yeah.
Uh, it's basically winning the game on turn 2 or 3 or whenever it comes out, but it's not actually winning the game. So
Right.
you have like this semblance of a game.
Yeah.
And if you're playing a combo deck, you might be fine. If you're playing Storm, you're playing Infect, you might be able to just beat through the Oko. But in general, non-combo, non-control, over-the-top ramp deck, you are in a lot of trouble if your opponent has an Oko on the board. In fact,
When's the next modern GP or Pro Tour? We're looking at the over under for Valentine's Day on Oko getting banned.
I actually don't know when the next modern GP is, and there's no slated modern Pro Tour as of right now, or Players Tour even.
Oh, interesting.
They switched those over to Pioneer.
Oh, okay.
As far as I could tell, I haven't looked fully at the schedule. They may have released more dates that I haven't seen yet. Austin is January 10th. That's modern. Thanks, Spin Dash.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm really happy about the bans in Pioneer today. I think those were warranted. Um, the best deck in Pioneer before 3 o'clock this afternoon was basically the standard food deck from about a month ago. And it was a bit egregious. Like, just losing to the standard deck from a month ago feels pretty bad when you're playing with all
It's a
your
little
Pioneer
embarrassing.
cards. You're like, oh, they just added Elvish Mystic to the standard deck and no other cards,
Right.
and I can never beat it
Right.
in the
Yeah.
million years.
Yeah, you feel like you have access to so many more cards,
Yeah.
and you're like, the possibilities. It's those moments where you're like, the possibilities are limitless, and then you get destroyed by,
And it's
yeah, the
just a
standard
standard
deck.
deck from a month ago. I was just, oh, they added Nykthos and Elvish Mystic to the standard deck,
Yeah,
and on its
that's
face,
good.
Nykthos isn't even that good in that deck because it doesn't
No.
even play that many, like, there's no like triple green card. It's
Right.
like there's some things with two green pips, but like it
Mhm.
was just that good. Just those food cards were just maybe a little pushed. I don't know, Wizards. Maybe you went a little far with those, specifically the mythic.
Yeah, I'm really glad that energy was only in this small moment that it existed because the energy decks, I think there's like probably a place for energy in Pioneer, um,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
it's not it's not as parasitic and it hasn't been as big of a deal I think as food has been.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's been talked about a million times, but the +1 on Oko.
It's fun.
Who whatever.
Yeah.
It's a +1.
Yeah.
If it was a -3, that card would still be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a +1.
Yeah.
And yeah, Etherworks Marvel is a good card
Yeah.
and can certainly see play in Pioneer. It's a little bit slow, or it was a little bit slow for the format previously. Maybe now's the time that that deck comes back. But when the format was first announced, everyone was talking about Etherworks Marvel being the next big thing, or like the only thing you should be doing, because Etherworks Marvel into Emrakul or Ulamog was just completely broken in standard
Mhm.
and got banned. Um, but it turned out that turn 4 having an Emrakul was just not as good as Saheeli Cat on turn 3, and also not as good as Oko or Field of the Dead or all the other cards that have already been banned. But yeah, I do think Etherworks is right on the edge. Like having to play like Whirler Virtuoso and like cards like that certainly doesn't make it feel that good to be playing
Right.
Etherworks Marvel in your deck. But yeah, there's some place for energy, I think.
Yeah, I think Ryan Overturf had a cool like Teamer Long Tusk Cub type deck that was kind of leveraging the ability to hit to play Aether Hub and get your colors when you needed them and
Ether Hub is one of the best gold lands in the
right.
format for sure if you can support it.
And Rogue Refiner, is like pretty free to play. It's not a bad 3 drop.
Rogue Refiner is great. It's super solid. Doing pretty well, Lemming. How you doing? Yeah, the Pummeler deck definitely seems pretty fun. I haven't actually played it yet, but Pummeler is the closest thing we got to infect damage in Pioneer, I guess.
Yeah, kind of. I honestly have been playing the Boros Feather deck.
Ooh,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's my jam. I'm waiting for them to ban everything else till that deck becomes good. That's my angle.
I mean, are you playing Arcanist in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dreadhorde Arcanist is one of the best cards that's not seeing a lot of play in Pioneer.
Yeah.
Card is fantastic.
Super fun to boot.
Oh yeah. Everybody likes a little Snapcaster Mage.
So Justin missing the second land drop, which
Looks like for he just turned 2. Just turned 2, missed the land drop.
yeah,
Got the Mox Opal, so doing a decent imitation of a land there.
right.
But
I think the whole like do a slow stream of meaningful permanence on Justin's side is not going to be strong enough to get this game from Urchin. Again, just the mid-range capacity of this Simic deck. If you're not able to really put it under the gun early on, the deck will just outvalue you pretty quickly.
yeah, that is true. The upside to Hardened Scales though is that you do get to kind of just win all at once when you do win. So instead of like a lot of other aggro decks where yeah they stop your initial onslaught and then the game's over, Hardened Scales can kind of just like top deck a Ravager and get you. Like it's kind of the name of the game with that deck. So depending on what else Justin draws over the next few turns, this could still be a game. Urchin also didn't have a turn 2 play. A very good turn 1, but no mana tapped on turn 2 here.
We'll have access to 4 mana. Looks like
Oh,
maybe, yeah.
Cryptic.
Currently has access to 4 mana.
Okay. Okay. Well, turn 2 Cryptic is pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's really good.
Never mind.
Yeah, how often are you playing around Cryptic on turn 2?
Turn 2 Cryptic is... I would be upset.
Yeah,
if I was
it's disgusting.
I would be upset.
That's so mean. I don't think I've ever.
Oh.
Okay.
But here we are. A Cryptic of his own
Okay.
for Justin.
Yeah.
And his only cost 1.
Yeah.
He didn't have to use a food for that one.
Game see game.
And found the land off the draw on Veil of Summer.
All right.
Here we go.
All right, we're playing. Lemming, we can't look at Urchin casting a turn 2 Cryptic and then say Veil of Summer's too good. That's just the way it's supposed to be. You cast a turn 2 Cryptic, you get Veiled.
I mean, yeah, I'm totally on board with that Veil.
But yeah, you're right. Veil of Summer is silly, but
it's really, really powerful, and I totally understand why it's banned in a couple formats now.
It's less silly in Modern. Modern has more colors that are available to play that neuter Veil's power, but if you are playing those colors, it's a house for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I wanted green cards in general to green decks to just be able to have their cake, for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was pretty happy,
Yes.
just as like a maybe like inner green player.
Yeah, me too.
Just like, yes, like we haven't had good cards since like Scavenging Ooze.
Yep.
Like, please give me some good cards.
Yep.
And then
they gave us too many, and now we're under the gun.
And now green is really overpowered, but they're fixing it. They're working their way back.
Yeah. Yeah, now we need a white to get some good stuff, and then Boros as a guild needs to get some good stuff, and then, we'll have started to even out the unfairness that's existed.
Yeah. I mean, blue and black have just always been the best, and it's just been that way since Alpha, right?
Yeah.
It's just like Dark Ritual and Ancestral Recall were obviously way better than the other ones. But
do we even know what were the other ones?
There's Healing Salve. And there's Lightning Bolt, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, white's obviously been overpowered the whole time.
Yeah, white. I mean, Healing Salve. It not only gains 3 life, it can also prevent 3 damage. So it has 2 modes.
Yeah.
It was the only modal one.
That's true.
It basically was 2 cards in one.
Oh,
So
yeah,
maybe
Giant Growth. Oh yeah.
And Giant Growth is legit. Giant Growth is just for 26 years, has been a staple of Magic at all the tables.
When Berserk was a card, Giant Growth, like they at least gave green the double, the 1-2 punch of Berserk Giant Growth.
I mean, you couldn't get turn
Or
1
other way
kills.
around.
Couldn't get turn 1 kills in Alpha without Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So green maybe has always been the best color. I don't know. But back to the game, we're seeing Urchin rebuild here with another copy of Urza this match. This is the 3rd one we've seen in this match. First one this game. But Justin really has a decent battlefield here with Animation Module, Hardened Scales, Walking Ballista, and Arcbound Ravager. Basically, all the pieces are assembled here for both players. So this will be an interesting one.
Right. The Ink Moth kill would be such a nice thing if Justin actually had the Ink Moth Nexus. It seems like a good way to go in this matchup if you can get their Goose out of the way.
Yeah, and that's pretty trivial with the Walking Ballista in play right now. But that construct is going to be the Abyss every turn.
Yeah, this deck is very, very good. The Urza deck is very good at gumming up the ground.
But yeah, I would actually give the edge right now to Justin. Um, as long as he can leverage his board advantage right now.
I kind of think I'd give it to Urchin. Does have Cryptic Mana available currently.
Yep. So with Hardened Scales and Arcbound
Oh,
Ravager, it's pretty easy to get to 20,
all right.
and Justin was able to do it.
Sweet. All right. Well, I guess I guess you giving the onboard edge to the person that has onboard lethal is probably the better call.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't actually do the math, but yeah, with Arcbound Ravager getting 2 counters per artifact that's being sacked with a Hangerback Walker in play and a Walking Ballista to dump everything onto afterwards, it is pretty easy to get up to 20. And scarily fast too. I've watched a streamer Yamakiller play this deck quite a bit, and when you play Hardened Scales a lot, you can find those lines really fast. And people are just like, oh, there's a Ravager, there's 3 other artifacts, and 2 Hardened Scales. That's 20. And like I wouldn't think of that very quickly. Like that's just. But once you play it a lot, it's one of those like mechanical decks where you're just like, all right, X other artifacts, Ravager, Ballista. That means I win. Or they have only one blocker. That means I can shift them over to that after blocks and then sack the Ballista. And you only need to get up to 10 at that point or whatever it is.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot of permutations, but it's definitely can get you out of nowhere. And even when it seems like you're totally fine, like you pass the turn, your opponent has a Hardened Scales in play and like an Arcbound Worker or something, and then you're just dead on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, all right. Which is, I think, the power of Hardened Scales and why it's seeing a lot more play than traditional Affinity these days. I was skeptical at first, for sure, when Sam Pardee and his team came up with the deck and started playing it in some of the bigger modern events about a year ago, a year and a half ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. I was definitely skeptical of like, why are you not playing just, Signal Pest and the whole crew? Like, where's Vault Scourge at? What are you
Right.
doing with this? And then watching it play out, it's definitely got a lot of game that Affinity doesn't have. So
This
Urchin
is
on
a
the
good
play
start.
here with the Goose. Oh, is there an Emery to follow? Oh, there's no Emery in her deck, actually.
Right.
Um,
That was one of the cuts that was made, I think, to make room for this more counter-heavy package.
right, right. And, I mean, I do think Emery is a very powerful card, but certainly reasonable not to play it to fit to just be like a blue-green tempo deck with these busted mythics. I mean, it works. You don't need any other cards to win the game.
Right.
So you can just play this like not die, not die, not die, and win.
Yep. So this is another point where Urchin does have access to Cryptic here on turn 2
On turn
again.
2. Solid. But instead,
Are we going to get Veiled? Oh, do it. Do it.
It looks like
Do
another
it,
Veil of
yes.
Summer for
Yes,
Justin
do
here.
it.
There's no way that's not happening.
We love Urchin in the booth. And Urchin, if you listen to this, it's not that I'm rooting against you, it's that I'm rooting for green. And
she's playing green as
specifically
well.
not
just for Oko and
Oko
Gilly.
green.
Yeah.
They're both Simic.
Well,
don't
I
know.
mean, honestly, there's probably Oko in Justin's deck as well.
We've seen it a number of times. I don't think he has it in there
Okay.
before. Not.
I mean,
I mean, it might be good to be playing
oh,
it, but
it's definitely good. It's definitely good. I mean, if it's main deckable, and in fact, I'm sure it's great in a deck that can sacrifice artifacts for value.
it's true. You could turn that Arcbound Worker into a 5/5.
Absolutely could, or just sack food to your Ravager.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, We'll just get together and improve all these decks.
Yeah, just so have you heard of this card? It's 3
Can
mana.
I
It's
sell you?
starts at 6 loyalty. Wins the game by itself. Yep, you guessed it. It's the one that's banned in a lot of, hopefully more formats coming up.
So there's another Archmage's Charm. Are we gonna steal? We're gonna go for
Steal
the
the
steal.
worker. All right.
It's interesting. So Urchin's left with no cards. I really could have maybe seen the draw two mode here, but I guess
The bauble can draw now without losing Metalcraft,
good point.
but and that was Justin's only threat,
Right.
so I think that was her reasoning there.
Yeah, and it's certainly like a critical mass type of deck. And wow, Justin not able to deploy a threat here makes Urchin's play look very, very good.
Yeah, yeah, it was a bit of a gamble. I would agree, not drawing the 2 cards, but I think maybe Urchin has played this deck enough to realize the threat density in her deck is just high enough that she's content to let the game go on a little bit longer
Yeah,
and take a few turns to find something to do.
right. Yeah, Urchin's very, very good with this deck. Extremely proficient in kind of knowing the right lines, and so no surprise.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen her playing different Urza decks since Urza was printed,
Yes.
and constantly iterating on them, and yeah, maybe one of the best Urza players out there.
Yeah.
Needle.
Gotta
Yeah.
check for you gotta check to
Can I
make
do
sure you don't have
something?
any fetch lands or any, you gotta take a look at your permanents before you say yep
Yeah, you
for the
do.
needle.
I mean, good on Justin for making sure there. I've definitely just said okay and
Yep.
and been upset immediately afterward.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I could have. Oh,
Yeah.
they wouldn't name. Oh,
They wouldn't name my onboard fetch. They're using this for something else.
no, there's no way. I have a evolutionary leap. Oh,
Okay.
Verdant Catacombs. All right, Ravager was a very good threat there for Justin, especially with Pithing Needle already in play. Um, Ravager is I mean, it's got to be the best card in the Hardened Scales deck.
Certainly.
So, Mystic Sanctuary is getting back Archmage's Charm, which
I mean, seems better than a random top deck. It's a
definitely,
it'll
yeah.
draw 2 cards at the very least, and Urchin can hold it up this next turn. Uh, Not a ton of threat currently on the board.
Yeah, and she also has access to making a food here, which at 17 life and effectively 20 with the food, not going to die anytime soon, or
Maybe.
potentially not. Justin is a little bit low on resources right now, so
Yeah. Did you hear what the name with Pithing Needle was? Was it Evolutionary Leap?
it
Or
was
was it?
Leap, yeah.
Okay.
Or at least she pointed at Leap.
Okay.
That's another very good threat for Justin, which allows him to Evolutionary Leap without Evolutionary Leap. Scrapyard Recombiner here.
Let's take a look.
So they didn't put the counters on it, but it should be a 2/2 or a 3/3 in fact with the hardened scales in play.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, you can sacrifice any artifact, go get a construct card, any construct card, which includes Walking Ballista and Hangerback Walker, which are both quite good with an Arcbound Ravager in play. And very easily this game could end next turn with a Walking Ballista.
Okay, so that's why, because the Scrapyard is still on the stack here.
Oh, that's why they haven't put the counters on it. That does make sense.
We're going to see the jar. to save the recombiner.
So it looks like Urchin drew.
Should get 3 counters, but Justin can miss this Hardened Scales trigger, so
Yep.
looks like we've missed. Okay,
Oh,
alright.
all right. No meaningful things have happened yet, so I guess that's fine. Happy with the Nexus ban. Yeah, I was surprised to see it go as well. But I am also happy with it. The card does not lead to interesting gameplay, I don't think. I understand that. Whoa.
Justin is gotten tired of
Wow.
losing to these blue decks. I
The
tell you what,
mystical dispute.
Veil of Summer is mystical disputes.
Wow.
We have had him on camera a couple weeks in a row getting beaten up a bit by these Urza decks, and he is done. He's tired of losing to
Hey,
their
I totally agree
shenanigans.
with his decisions to play more hate for the Urza decks. I do think the Urza decks are the best decks in the format right now. I don't think it's particularly close, and yeah, I'm happy to see people adapting to that. Um, I'm sorry that that Urchin is on the receiving end of this beating here, but it looks like Justin did not want to go get the walking ballista play.
So Urchin's guaranteeing here that she'll be alive for another turn. So we are going to find out from the
Because it's going
judge.
to his graveyard.
Yeah, are you able to use the modular trigger? Will Justin be able to use the modular trigger even though the creature is controlled by Urchin at the time that it
Yeah.
dies?
Right, but because the controller of it was Urchin when it died, Justin did not get to put the counters.
So Urchin with another Urza in hand, which is big game, but
Urza is very good here. But I mean, I haven't done the math, but I think Scrapyard sacrificing Mox Opal, finding Walking Ballista. No, that's not enough artifacts on the board. No, definitely
okay.
not.
That's big. So
Ooh, an EE on
EE
2.
on 2 and Urchin can blow this up.
That's very, very
And
good.
this is a house in this case, as it gets two permanents from Justin, the Ravager and the Evolutionary Leap, and doesn't hit any permanents on Urchin's side.
Yeah, that's very powerful here. Mox Opal
Notably,
was sacked.
I guess we're deciding. Notably with the Recombiner, um, it must be untapped to use its ability. So Justin's not going to be able to get any kind of like Recombiner value out of it at this point. But I think maybe rethinking sacrificing the Mox, maybe going to want to save that for this next turn to sack to the Scrapyard Recombiner.
I do want to point out Urchin had 4 lands in play and some artifacts that don't do a whole lot before that turn. And she was able to tap 8 mana and play not only a 5/5, but a 1/4 that can draw cards and an engineered explosives for 2 while cracking it.
Yeah, this deck can
Oh no,
flip
it's a
the script.
6/6. It's a 6/6.
Yes. Yeah, we can flip the script very fast on this.
So that's
Urza deck.
Urza's pretty good. Urza's a good one.
I know there are people saying that by the time this list reaches its kind of peak, many people think Urza won't be in it, which I think is an interesting call. I am not on that side. I think that Urza's powerful enough that it will probably stick around.
Yeah, I mean Tolarian Academy, Howling Mine, personal Howling Mine, and a 8/8. So to go with your 1/4 body, I think that's pretty absurd. Tolarian Academy is restricted in Vintage. You can play 4
Yes.
in Modern.
Yes. The old delayed Polarity Academy. I guess you could get out on turn 2.
You can definitely turn to it. Oh wow, Urza off the top.
I mean, this has been a battle. Uh, Urchin really doing a great job fighting back after getting both Veil of Summer and Mystical Dispute, which is a
Yeah, that
heck of a
was
mana. Like, it's such a swing, but still in this game.
definitely still in this game. She's drawn 3 Urzas, and it looks like the top 18-ish cards of her deck, which is, a little bit fortunate, but, you'll take those when you get them.
Yeah,
And,
and you know what? The hits off this spin with this deck are bangers.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
you've got Cryptic Command. Okay, sometimes you hit a goose, but
Jump blocker that pumps your, that makes a Mox Sapphire
yeah.
and pumps your construct.
This is the thing with Urza, and you really have to be aware of this, is check the total mana available. It's very easy to go back to your normal mode of looking at somebody's lands and being like, oh, they're tapped out. Like, I'm cleared to do what I want this turn, and then get cryptic.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
may be it. That's just one more artifact, which I think Justin needed.
Urchin has enough blockers, and there's no flyers currently,
He's
right?
not gonna attack.
Oh, we're just going to get the ballista and
Yeah.
load it up?
Yeah. Same thing as what happened last game. Hardened Scales, Arcbound
Oh,
Ravager, and Walking Ballista. This has
because
modular.
yeah,
Yeah.
Recombiner has modular. It's yeah.
Right. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to do it here. But Recombiner with 8 counters is yeah, I think that's it.
Wow.
Really powerful things going back and forth here. Both players just
Wow.
throwing haymakers at each other, and yeah, Scrapyard Recombiner was just given too many turns.
It was definitely a fun match to watch. I think just so amazing that even through that Veil blowout that this Urza deck was able to stick in it,
Oh
and
yeah,
we ended up
totally in the
having a
game.
fairly close game.
Very close game. I honestly, it was each player's game on each turn that switched back and forth. It was like, oh, Urchin's got this locked up. Oh, Justin's got this locked up. Oh, Urchin's got this locked up. And yeah, fun match to watch. Fun interaction there with both players. Justin's interaction happened to only cost 1, and Urchin's cost 3 or 4. So maybe that was the difference there in the match the match result at the end. But yeah, Veil of Summer is a bit more efficient version of Cryptic Command.
And just extremely nice for Justin that even though there were only 2 Veils and 1 Mystical Dispute, that we had Veils in both sideboard games and the Mystical Dispute as well in one of them, which is, just sometimes you put the cards in the deck and you find them at the right time, and that's what they're in there to do. They're in there to swing the match in a major way.
Yeah, yeah. I remember casting a lot of Dispel on my opponent's Cryptic commands in Splinter Twin days. I was playing a lot of Dispel, and if your opponent managed to Dispel your Cryptic command, then the game was pretty much over. Like that tempo advantage was just too huge because they would Dispel the Cryptic command, play the Pestermite, Kiki Jiki, or not Kiki Jiki, Deceiver Exarch, and then the game was just over on the spot. Dispel was just 1 mana to interact with their 4 mana spell, just so powerful and so hard to come back from as the player who cast the 4 mana spell.
Mm-hmm.
And as we saw there, Veil of Summer is just Dispel with draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. It's a
Yep.
pretty good one. Yeah, really strange that they printed Fry is 1 in a red, Devout Decree 1 in a white, Noxious Grasp 1 in a black, Ether Gust 1 in a blue, and then when they got to the green one, they were like, well,
Throw him a bone.
I mean, it doesn't remove
Throw him a
anything.
bone.
It's not a removal spell.
Mm-hmm.
All the other ones are removal
Yeah.
spells. So let's make it 1 mana. And you know what? Green just sucks always.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
about they draw a card as
Yeah,
well?
their cards aren't very good. Like, how bad could it be if they draw an
Yeah.
extra one? It's just, how bad could it be? And then in the same thing, they were like, well, like Fry should probably not kill Oko because, you know, People should have their Okos and eat them
Right,
too. They should eat
right.
their
I mean,
food.
he's the flagship card of their new set, of this like grim fairy tale set, and they need this merry prankster
Not get fried.
to not get fried. You don't want a fried prankster. Nobody likes that.
No, no.
You need the thief with the crown to just be hanging out. He takes the hit, the burn, and stays at one loyalty.
All right. Well, they just announced time and round. We're going to take a quick break here, and we will be back shortly with more Modern Monday action on round two.
Be right back.